Welcome back to another Tilted Nut video. About a year ago, I designed a K-cup storage that was very overbuilt, and one of our daughters actually has that and uses it. It's perfect for her. She can put a Keurig on it, have storage for her K-cups. It works great. We needed something a little bit different for a kitchen, and so I set about redesigning it. The original one was also using half-inch stock, which is way overbuilt for what was needed, and so I used some quarter-inch hickory and ash that I had, and decided to rebuild it completely and redesign it so that we still have storage capabilities, and also add some storage boxes to it for the liquid IV that we use for hydration and electrolyte replacement. Hopefully, this will give you an idea of something that you can do or an idea for something that you can create as well. And let's get into the video.
Mhm. The first thing I needed to do was create the grid lines I need for the poles that I'm going to create for the K-cups. I needed this to make sure that I was going to have the proper size for this portion of it and make sure everything was lined up the way I needed it to be. Right now I'm using a piece of poplar. You'll see a different piece of wood uh, redone later for the final product. With this, I can get a starting point for the forcer bit that I'm going to use. I'm just using a spring-loaded center punch to make sure that I have a good spot in the middle of each of these quadrants for the forcer bit that I'm using. I really needed an inch and 3/4, but the largest I had was an inch and 5/8, so that's what I'm going to be going with. Using some double-sided tape, I can get this secured to a sacrificial board that we'll use as the backer for when I drill out the holes using the forcer bit. If I had a drill press, this would be a lot easier. However, I don't have that yet. And so I'm just using the portable drill press or drill stand to make sure I get these straight up and down where I need to open up the holes. After a little bit of cleanup, I can grab one of the nylon body tools that I have to get underneath this and help separate the wood from the base. I find that the nylon body tools are extremely helpful for separating wood when I use a double-sided tape because it doesn't mar the wood. I don't dig into anything, and it's just easier and cleaner. And here I'm cutting the rabbets that I need for the primary box so that I can start getting that put together. I should have turned the camera a little bit so you could see what I'm doing a little bit better, but what I'm doing is sneaking up on the fit for the sides as I'm using rabbet joints to attach the front and back of the box. After cleaning up the joints with my chisel, I can go ahead and start getting this ready to put together. And this is also where a rabbiting plane would come in handy, because I could be able to just simply run the plane down this and clean it up and make sure everything is nice and even. This will end up actually forming the drawer that I'm going to use for the bulk storage for the K-Cups. It's designed to fit 36 K-Cups and provide us extra storage so that we have them handy instead of having to get them out of the cupboard or store them someplace else. Why I didn't use blue tape to get these put together initially, I don't know. But I really like making things difficult on myself, so I had to get these in position and use to get these clamped together and allow them to glue up. With the clamps in place, I can go ahead and get things measured and make sure everything is square. And as you can see, I need to adjust a little bit just to square it up and make sure that everything is at 90 on all four quarters. Now it's time to start marking out the primary box the drawer is going to slide into. Instead of measuring and taking a chance of things being off, I decided to just use the wood itself. That way I know exactly where things sit and where I need to be able to cut the additional dados, rabbits, and groups. And as you can see, I struggled a little bit with trying to get everything in place so that I can get the wood marked. With this portion cut out, I can go ahead and start getting everything put together and glued up, and just make sure that that drawer is going to fit within the space and have a nice, tight friction fit. and move the way I want it to. And now I can start planning where the back of the box is going to be, where the drawer stops, and start finding the dividers that are going to go into that back opening as well. And here I'm cutting the dados so that I can be able to slide the dividers in and be able to get those glued up and put together. I finally received the dado throw plate for my saw. So next time I do something like this, I can set up my dado stack and not have to constantly adjust each cut across the blade to be able to get the dados cut and set. With all the dados cut, I can actually start getting this thing glued up. And yes, there is a dado in the wrong spot because I got things turned around and wasn't paying attention to the orientation, and so I ended up adding a dado that didn't need to be there. Fortunately, this is going to be on the inside, and once I get the top put on it, you're never going to see the mistake. And it's for me, so I really don't care about redoing this particular section. With this section of the glue up done, I can go ahead and verify that everything is square and the way it needs to be. As you can see, I do need to adjust it just a little bit, but I'll let this dry and tack up a little bit, and then I can get the dividers put in, get those glued in, and then get the top put in place. if you feel that what I'm providing at least provides some sort of entertainment, helps give you ideas of what you can do, I would really appreciate it if you guys would help to share my videos, like my videos, and please give me any comments. Anything that you feel would be appropriate for what I'm doing, and I will be checking the comments and replying as I can. But I would love to have some help getting my channel to grow and see if we can get this thing going a little bit better. Now that the glue's had time to set, I've got this portion of it completely glued up. Now it's time to get the drawer face set for this and get that put together. Because this drawer face is going to sit flush with the front of the box, it's just easier to use a couple pieces of scrap to line up the face, make sure that it is going to be even right of the box, and get it glued and put some screws in it to make sure that it's secure. I opted to use a 1/2 inch Forstner bit to open up a finger hold for this instead of trying to find a knob that would work and match with the kitchen. I drilled through the first part of the front and then flipped it over to drill through the backside. That way I didn't have as much tear out and I could have a much cleaner hole through the front of this drawer. Originally, I had planned on having the box for the K-cups being separate so that we reposition it if needed. However, I, for some reason, could not figure out how to measure the length that I needed for each of the sides and front and back of the box that would go for the K-cup itself. So I ended up being about an inch, inch and a half short of what I needed. And so I opted to go ahead and chisel out part of this to attach the box for the K-cups to it. And ultimately, just putting in a shallow dado for this turned out to be more than adequate, and I like the way it ended up in the long run. Plus, any opportunity that I have to use my chisels, I like to take advantage of because I love working with these things. the data's cut out and set, I can go ahead and start getting this part ready to attach to it. And now you can see how this is going to fit into the side of the box where the dados are. Even though there's really no weight being put on this, I decided to go ahead and slide in a piece of poplar uh, just to give it a little bit more stability against the box and give me a little more glue surface to work with. And that was a fun part of just getting everything clamped up, put in place, and let the glue dry. And like everybody else, there are times that I struggle to figure out how to get the clamps set so that I can get the appropriate clamping pressure put on. And in this case, keep everything stable because it is an odd shape. And I needed extra clamps just to be able to keep everything upright. After letting this set overnight, letting the glue fully set, I went ahead and got it sanded down to 220. And now I can go ahead and get the Black Forest furniture oil put on it and start getting this thing finished. I did add some paste wax to the inside of this just to help the drawer slide a little bit and keep it from binding up. If there's any kind of changes in humidity or we do get a little bit of moisture on the inside, it'll just help protect it and allow this drawer to continue to slide smoothly in and out of this box. Here is the finished box. And with it put in place and being used, this is what we ended up in the long run. I did create a small companion box for tea bags. This gives us the ability to put them wherever we need to. But I hope this gives you an idea of something you can do, and I'll see you on the next video.